Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and today is Monday, December 11th, and this will be our chart lesson for today. And real quickly, just a reminder, this is my last week to work for 2023. I'll work this week, and then I'll take the rest of the year off. So Thursday will be our last chart lesson this year, and I'll continue to remind you as the week goes, but I just thought I would update it today in case you didn't catch that last week. But I do plan to take the trading will get slower um, as we get into the closer to the end of the year. The volume will probably trickle down a little bit. Doesn't mean we can't have some big moves, but generally it gets pretty quiet, not much happening, and most of your professional traders are taking off and spending time with their family and so forth, and I'll do the same. So Um, it's a good time to get a break, good time to take a vacation. But if you need to study, it's a good time to study too. So you only get, the way you get better at this is study and repetition, trading every day, and then studying your trades. And if you're not studying your trades, if you're just coming in and trading and quitting at the end of the day, you're not getting better. That's not how this works. This is a skill, and the way you get better is practice, study, and repetition. And you need to be studying your trades and uh, figuring out your tendencies and reinforcing the good ones and correcting the bad ones. That's how you get better at this. If you just come in and trade and close up shop at the end of the day, you're not going to get much better. You'll just be spinning your wheels. So make sure that at the end of the real work starts at the end of every trading day. You need that real screen time, sim trading, and you need to do this sim trading. And people get confused. They think they're trying to take the best trade. When you're sim trading, take every trade that you think fits the criteria for a good entry. And you don't worry about it till the end of the day. And at the end of the day, you go back and you figure out what you did wrong and you correct it, figure out what you did right, you reinforce that. But yes, you need as much screen time and you need to be taking all these trades so that you're learning from them, learning your tendencies, correcting your mistakes, and more than anything, getting confidence that what works works. That's how you get confidence. People ask me, well, how'd you have the confidence to take that trade? Well, I've done it so many times, I know it works. I've proved it. And so you have to prove it to yourself. You have to prove you can do it to yourself. And so you need that experience. So make sure you're doing that every day. But let's get to the chart lesson. Uh, we start. We rolled over today. We're now in the March 24 contract. So if you haven't rolled yet, you need to roll. If you wondered why there was no volume today, it still was real light even in the March contract. But if you wondered why the December contract was really light, that's probably why, because we did roll over. But you can see we did break out here. We've been testing the measured move. So really what happened is this is just doubled here. And we did break out today. Will we sustain that? We'll see. My guess is that we're trying to. There's a channel. I didn't redraw it on this one. There's a channel coming up here, and this was the first break. And my best guess is that this is a retest attempt of this previous channel. And that's my assumption is what prices are trying to do. We're trying to retest this. I believe that is the target that prices, they've been struggling to get there, but we're not far away. 47.35, that high is a little higher than that. That high is at 47.36.50. Looks like 75 there to make a new high. So that's our target. Not far to go at all. We're at 46.77. So maybe about 50 or 60 points and we'll get a new high. And so, if we're going to get a correction here, my guess is it's not going to come until we retest that high, make a new high or whatever. So we'll see what happens, but that's my guess is that's our next target is to retest these contract highs where we made this high here. And there's definitely there's a channel working up here. We'll just go ahead and put it on here so it's easy to see. And we had this break and we have not retested that high yet. Let's make this a little different color. Let's just make it blue. blue. And so that's what I think we're doing is retesting this high. At that point, we could be making a measured leg up. So, I could be 100% wrong here, but my best guess is we're trying to retest this high on this channel. At that point, we might get a correction. We might continue higher. We'll just have to see. But let's flip over to the daily chart, the 2,000 tick intraday chart, and go through the trades. There weren't many of them today. It was really low volume, kind of a weak uptrend kind of day. But let's flip over there and take a look. Here it is. We were in this channel until we broke out here about lunchtime, and we moved a perfect measured move and just kind of fought that off until right before the close. Of course, they ran it up when the volume was real thin. But once we broke out here, your first target should be a measured move. And we made that pretty quickly, and so there just wasn't much movement today. Not a lot of volume here, kind of quiet. We're getting into that holiday time. Plus, it's rollover, be rollover for the next couple of days. So sometimes, the market doesn't move a lot because people are just squaring up, and they may be changing their trades, longer term stuff. But the big guys are all squaring up and moving, rolling contracts, longer term stuff. But let's zoom in here and talk about the trades. 7 o'clock came right in this kind of congested, tighter range here. What happened was we got in the lower half of this bigger range, and we couldn't push through that midline. And notice we tested it once, twice, easily a triple test. Very nice signal bar. I like that one. It came back here and turned down again, but if you didn't enter there, I think we're too close to these lows. I don't think you want to enter there. It would have worked, but I wouldn't enter here. Yeah, that was your trade, or else you had to just sit tight. And we bounced around down here. This is too tight and too congested. It's hard to know if we're going lower there or going to bounce. The selling was not real strong coming into that, so this just looks like acceptance of prices here. But we never could push through, and then we finally pushed higher, came back, tested it again. So now you've easily got a triple test. Nice signal bar. That is 2 legs down, so that's a second entry. I like that entry, and that's a quick, easy move back up. If you caught this trade, it's probably the only one you needed today, depending on what your targets are and what kind of contracts you're trading. But that's easily 4.5, 5 points, and you might have even got more out of it depending on how you traded it. We break out here and fail and come back, and then finally we make a higher low. This one is tempting. There is a hidden second entry there. I didn't mark it. It closes below the midline in the EMA, and it's just dangerous going long there. And then we come up here, and notice you get a first entry and then a second entry. We weren't quite back to the highs of the range, so for that reason, I made this one green. But it is a clear second entry, and we did make a couple of legs up on the retest of this. Even if you called this a new channel of its own here, you got to close outside and 2 legs up to a new high. It's a second entry short. Little ways away, enough room back to the EMA. I liked it. It's a little aggressive, so I marked it green. This one was tempting too on the failed breakout lower. You definitely wouldn't want to be going short down here, but I'm not crazy about going long there. It looks a little congested, but it's another one you might argue to be green. Then, of course, we ran up here and broke out, and we did finally reach the highs, and this breaks higher and fails and turns down. This would be, I think you could argue for this to be red if you entered on the engulfing bar, but if you wait till this closes, there's a little bit of stem, and you're not very far back to the midline of this or the EMA. Of course, you're not so worried about the EMA, but that midline after a failed breakout, there's a good chance it could make another push up, which it ends up doing, but it would have given you enough for the scalp. But you don't know that ahead of time, so I would not wait till this closed. If I was going to enter this one, I'd do it on the engulfing bar. And, of course, we bounce. And, again, you might argue there's a triple test here. If you see that, maybe you enter here. I didn't mark it. As you see, there's only like 1.25 points there. Of course, we did break out, so there's a good chance we're going to go back at least test this high. So maybe you argue again for a green. There's a bunch of greens here you could argue for. But notice the channel working up. You get a close outside, 2 swings to a new high, and it turns down. And finally, you get a failure here. Normally, I'd probably mark this red, but it closes outside that channel there. And if it breaks lower, you're probably going to get a scalp because it's probably going to trap some longs. And you can see it does drop down pretty quickly there, pretty abruptly. So it did act as a trap. It's real close to being red, but if it had closed inside, I wouldn't have any problem making it red. And generally, we don't care about the signal bar on a failure. This is more advanced, so if you're not, if you hadn't been doing, if you're not consistently profitable every day, you won't be interested in these trades. Don't take them, and listen to me when I tell you that. Most people don't listen. They try to take them anyway, and then they're emailing me why it failed, and they're not even in the right ballpark. So they're complicated. They're for more skilled traders, more experience. And if that's not you, if you're not consistently profitable every day, stay away from these because you don't know what you're doing. You need to learn them organically. It's the reason I don't teach them in the manual because they're really difficult, and you need a lot of experience. It's nothing more than that. But you need to learn them organically, not try to pick them out and figure them out, and you just slow your rest of your learning down. So that's why I don't teach them in the manual. We drop down here, find some support, bounce, and try to go short once, try to go short twice. So you got a failure there, then it breaks lower and turns up. So you got a second entry there. It's a little congested, but with the fact that you've got a failure and a second entry, and there's room back to this top, I think you can take that trade. It's tempting to take this one too, but there's not room to get out on this one, and now you got pretty much a triple test across there. Now you wouldn't go short here yet. I think it's too early because we haven't got back to the highs yet. So even though you could argue there's a triple test there, don't go short right there, and really you shouldn't go long either. We're definitely in an uptrend here. We're making higher highs and higher lows, and we continue that. Maybe you take this one, but again, only on the engulfing bar, because if you wait till here, you don't have room to get out, and you see it could have stopped you out. That's what we're worried about, it turning down there. And sometimes it'll come back and stop you out and then go exactly where you thought. It'll break on out. So if you didn't enter here on the engulfing bar where you got room to get out, then don't enter this trade. And that's why I made it green. If you enter on the engulfing bar, maybe you could argue it to be blue, but I think it's a little aggressive either way. It does break out. You need more than a single test to go long off that, though. Even though it takes off, there's just no setup there. And there's no setup to really get in any of this. You don't want to enter in this going long. There's a little breakout pullback, but we just came off the highs, so there's no guarantee you're not going to correct before you go higher again. And you don't want to be going short there. So just sit tight, and then eventually you get a triple test. There's a quick, easy move back to the top, just what you'd expect. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It turns back down here again, but I'd want a triple test up here, and plus it's in an uptrend. This green trend still in play, so I wouldn't even take a long. I'd just sit tight, and finally you get a second entry right here on this failed breakout. But that signal bar is not good enough for me. I just don't like it. Clearly it's 2 legs back, and it's a failed breakout. It's the first break of this, so we're probably going to go higher. If you draw your trend line too, you do have a break and a new low. I'm just not convinced that that signal bar is good enough. It does close outside the channel or the range as well. So, I mean, it's a maybe because you are expecting prices to go higher, and we do have 2 legs down. You do have a second entry, but it's the first break. There's a higher low here, but signal bar is no good. And you get a triple test here, but it's too late in the day. If you were still, I mean, if it wasn't so late in the day, you might take that entry right there, because now you've tried to go lower 3 times with a little double bottom push there as well. It failed again. So And that was it. It just wasn't a lot happening today. It's rollover again. It's rollover day. We're getting late in the year. The volume's starting to dry up. Um, this market just wants to go higher, and I believe what's happening is we're trying to retest that high, as I talked about on the daily chart. And so this thing may continue to push higher, and it could go sideways a good bit more. I mean, who knows what this thing? Just follow the price action. That's the key. Don't try to do what you think it's going to do. Don't try to guess what it's going to do. Let the price action show you every day and follow it. And if it just gets stuck like this, be real careful. I mean, there's when you got to lunchtime, 11 o'clock here, and you hadn't had but a couple of trades. I mean, even 10 o'clock. Don't be afraid to just say, okay, today is not happening. It's rollover day. It's low volume. I'm just going to take the day off and go enjoy it and come back tomorrow and see if it's better. Because what happens is you get bored, you start pressing, and next thing you know, you're in the bad trade and you take a loss. And some of you probably listening did exactly that. Guaranteed there's somebody listening that did exactly that. They got impatient. They couldn't wait because there's not many setups, and you just got to sit there and sit there and sit there. And you finally got impatient and you pressed a little bit and you took a trade that was iffy and you lost. And you're mad at yourself now. Just get up and walk away if you have a day like this. Don't feel like you have to trade every day. I know when you're new, you feel like, I got to trade. I got to learn. Just turn on the simulator if nothing else. Don't trade live. Just turn on the simulator and trade the simulator and learn. But people, I know it's hard to. It's just hard. People feel. I remember how it is when you're new. You feel like you got to trade. You got to try to make some money. You got to. Most of you probably. A lot of. I shouldn't say most, but a lot of you probably shouldn't even be trading live. You should be on the simulator learning. But no, I know you're not going to listen. Hopefully you're at least trading the MES where you're not going to lose any real money. But I'm sure there's a bunch of you that shouldn't be trading that are just going to donate your money. You're going to be donors and you're trading the ES. I know it. I remember the desire myself when I was first started. It's there, and you got to fight that. The only way you're ever going to be a really good trader is through discipline. You got to be super disciplined, and you got to understand what you're doing. You got to understand where prices are headed and what they're doing, and you got to try to go with them. And you're looking for your entries in advance. So just keep practicing. Most of you should probably be on the simulator if you're not consistently profitable, and at the very minimum you should be trading the MES until you are consistently profitable every day, and then you can switch over to the ES and slowly build up from there. No, you're never going to make a lot of money. You'd be surprised. You can make some nice spending money in the MES. You're never going to make a living in the MES most likely, but you can learn there without losing your trading capital. And you can actually you'd be surprised you can make money there. So don't be afraid of it. Trade it until you're really good at it, and then transfer that over to the ES and then start making your living at it. That's how you need to do it. So listen to me when I tell you that. I'm trying to save you some money and heartache and from losing all your trading capital before you ever learn to really trade. And that's what happens to most people. They either lose all their trading capital or they got more money than they got cents, and they lose a big chunk of their savings or 401k or whatever, and they finally say, you can't do this, and they give up and go away. But they never really gave themselves a true chance because they have unrealistic expectations. Just have realistic expectations. Understand that this is a skill, and that it takes a long time to hone that skill. So just keep working at it. Don't be antsy. Don't feel like you have to trade every day. Take a day off if you need it. Stay out of this stuff. When it's like this, stay out of it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you had a good trading day. Hopefully tomorrow will be a little better trading day, but we'll be back tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com.